Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak in front of the Senate. We would like to tell you a little bit about our cause, being the research assistants of Stony Brook, who have been unionized since 2008, December 5th. That's when we had our elections. And from that time on, we are trying to find for our first contract with the Research Foundation. Let me tell you a little bit about who we are. We are 740 graduate students here just at Stony Brook University. We are working under the supervision of principal investigators who are also known as PIs. Our employer is Research Foundation, who is a nonprofit institution that was set up by SUNY system to manage the funding, to fund research. And it's led by President John O'Connor and Chancellor Nancy Zimpher. Those two persons, who are key decision makers about the business of the Research Foundation, are appointed by the board of directors of the Research Foundation, and our President Stanley has joined recently this board of directors, and those persons are directly making decisions. We are trying to fight for having a collective voice for all the research assistants here at Stony Brook University to fight for some things that will better our life and work at Stony Brook. We are trying to fight for livable wages, for not having to pay the fees that are killing us every year, for improved health insurance and Bridge Fund. And let me tell you just very quickly, Bridge Fund, we find it a very exciting idea because many of us happen to be in situations of falling off the payroll once in a while. That has incredible consequences with respect to our health benefits not being covered for periods of time, which can have really catastrophic consequences. And eventually, we're also trying to basically fight for more research money, which will translate into our salaries. We are the persons who are conducting research. Now, we have here some outlines about the wasteful spendings of the Research Foundation. An example of this has been covered in press last year. It's talking about Susan Bruno, who was daughter of former leader of New York State Senate, who was hired by the Research Foundation and has been getting paid over $80,000 a year for a job which was essentially a no-show job. And now we calculated that 80 RAs would be covered by one of the per year salary of Susan Bruno. Quite an astounding number. We also know from the comptroller of New York State in 2005, this is a report, where he claims that the SUNY Research Foundation has made millions in questionable purchases and payments that in some cases would not be acceptable under the rules that govern the state university system. This is highly inappropriate, and it is unfair to the students, to the faculty, and to all SUNY campuses, and indeed to New Yorkers who are paying their taxes here. Now, this is just to compare some institutions. Here we have a list of universities. Here are the proposed minimum salary for the year 2008-2009. Stony Brook is listed here on the bottom, and this column shows you the relative cost of living in all those places. Now, let me pick an example. Rutgers would be a good one, since we like to compare ourselves with this institution. Rutgers provides a decent minimum salary, $23,000, and the cost of living there is 32% lower than here around Stony Brook, just to give you an example. This is just a graph that shows, again, a representation of the data where you can see the minimum salaries for all those institutions that have been listed in the table before, Stony Brook being at the low, and that's not even adjusted for cost of living. So we have gone ahead to figure out what would be the bare minimum to make it for Long Island here at Stony Brook. We came up with the range per year from 17.6 until almost 22,000. Yet Stony Brook University estimates, compiling it with the cost of all the fees that we have to pay, that the cost of living on Long Island would be a little over 18,000. Now, this is just to summarize this presentation. We all are anxious to find out who will have to cover costs of all the things that we are asking for. It is a reasonable concern, we know this. We do not want the PIs to have to pay from the grants. We believe that from the financial reports of the Research Foundation, which are available online, we know that there's over nearly $37 million in unrestricted and restricted working capital, that some portion of it could be designated to better the salaries and then some other benefits of the Research Foundation. And eventually we believe we expect and anticipate that eventually the PIs would be to include the increased cost into the grants. Perhaps Michael knows a lot about this, so I won't be spending time to go into the details of this. But our goal really here, and that's why we're here, is to talk to you, professors. I know that there are representatives of staff here too, but a lot of professors. We really would like to work with you on this, to try to figure it out, how to make it happen, how to increase those salaries for those research assistants, and we believe that those livable wages will translate into more efficient. People will not have to be looking for secondary jobs just to be able to cover their living expenses. This will also mean that potentially higher salaries for the research assistants will attract better students to Stony Brook, which will make us more competitive. And that we also realize that those more outstanding research assistants and students will increase their reputation and bringing the excellence to Stony Brook. And we just want to reiterate that this is just the right thing to do, to guarantee people who really want to get their degrees, who want to train to be great researchers, to provide them with livable wages. And I really would like to thank you for your attention and for the time.